everyone, I am here today to share with you something I'm very passionate about and I absolutely am obsessed with doing. It's food styling, and if you are regular on my blog, you will know that I love as many styled photos as possible along with those recipes I've been sharing. Now I have wrote tips and advice on how to start food styling for beginners on my blog, and I will leave the link below. But today I have wanted to share with you for a while from the very beginning to the finish of how I food style something. So instead of giving you tips and just telling you what works best or what's worked for me and how I go about it, I thought it'd be easier just to show you in a vlog how I go about my food styling. Especially if you're a beginner, it's easier to see someone do it and get ideas and then find your own style and find what works for you. I like bright, vibrant colored food styling, and a lot of people like the dark, gloomy, more moody styling. So it's definitely up to you what your style is. I'm just going to show you what I do for my food styling, and maybe you can get some tips if you're just starting out, or to see how you want to take your style in another direction. So I'll get started. The first thing I do when I start a recipe is I lay out all the ingredients on my table. Sometimes I put them in little bowls, I get the measurements going, and I just have everything set out so it's all ready, it's easy, accessible, and it also makes some good first photos of your food styling. You don't have to think of food styling as the final product. If it's a pie or a cake, don't wait till the cake's baked and start snapping. Start snapping long before and styling long before your cake is even made. So I have all my ingredients out for today's recipe, which don't worry, I'll be showing on my blog as well. But first thing I do is set the ingredients and start measuring it out. So not only is that good for photography, for your blog, or for your food styling, it's good practice. You can play with the light and the different sizes and heights of your ingredients. You can also get sneak peek videos and sneak peek photos for your Facebook or Twitter to tease those people before the recipe is up. So I'll give you a little look here. I'll move this. So today I am making a little tart galette type recipe. It's something new, but I always make easy recipes. And as you can see, I just lay things out. Sometimes they're in a bowl, sometimes I have the spoons in or the measuring cups, and it does make for a nice photo. Ignore the sunshine that shines through. So it makes a good photo, a before photo. So I snap a few of those for maybe Twitter or Facebook, or even for the blog, share and see what ingredients are actually going in my recipe. And then what I do is I move on to setting the scene. Now, I think many of you will be like, well, she hasn't even made the recipe, why is she setting the scene? But the fun thing about food styling is there's no right or wrong way. And my way, I like to set the scene after I've got the ingredients already and start putting the ingredients out, and always saving a few of those ingredient key items that go into the recipe on the side with my backdrop all set up, so that when that recipe is done and it is ready, I can pop it out of the oven or pop it out of the fridge, whatever I'm making, set it down and just start playing around and messing with it, and everything's ready and set for me. So let's go set the scene. So I am in my kitchen now, setting the scene, and you don't have to do it in your kitchen. Don't put yourself into one room, because it depends on what the light is, the weather is. Today is a bright sunny day, so I normally shoot my food near the sliding glass doors, but the sun is absolutely stifling in, and I can't take photos in the bright sun. It splits the photos off, the lighting's all bad, but I still want that natural light. So because it's so bright today, I'm lucky I get to do it on the kitchen island, but most of the time my kitchen island's way too dark, so I have to either do it on the floor of my kid's bedroom, yes, I've said it, in front of the window, in front of the sliding glass door in the dining room. You find that natural light, always be next to a window, and always shooting, if the window's on this side, always shooting from this way to get that natural bright food styling pictures that you want. If you want the dark, more moody ones, you have to play with the light and go against the light. So if that's your style, there are plenty of YouTube videos for that as well, but today I'm going to do like a bright light one using the natural light. I always make sure all my lights are off. Even if it's a gloomy day, I play with the manual mode on my camera and try to get the light better that way than using false light, because it just makes the photos look all funny color and not right. So when I set the scene, I have just set all my ingredients out, took a few photos, and now I'm going to get all my food props out. I don't have very many. I go to charity shops for these. I get hand-me-downs. I ask people if, you know, they have odd sets of dishes that they don't want anymore, and they give them to me, and you'll be surprised what you'll find for really cheap. Food styling shouldn't cost you a fortune. So like these little dishes, I'll share some of my favorites. I got these at the charity shop for like 5p because there's a little chip on it, but that doesn't matter because you can drizzle food over it. You can throw a napkin on that side or a spoon on that side, and they make really good photography. I've gotten various platters of glass and tins and trays for backdrops, and excuse the noise. I shared in my little loves this month on my blog. I love fat quarters from sewing shops, just pieces of fabric you can use for placemats, you can use for backdrops, you can use for napkins. You can drape them under a bowl to give some color. I mean, these are very vibrant for spring. I love linen ones because they make amazing light backdrops under those plates, under the big pots coming out of the oven. I also use tissue paper. It gives texture. This was from a present, or I think actually this one's Starbucks, I lie. This one's a Starbucks one that from a mug I bought. I keep everything because anything can be a backdrop. I use wallpaper samples. Go into any of your favorite interior stores, ask for a few pieces of samples. They're free. They make great flat lays for Instagram, and they make great bottom, if you're shooting soup from the top, they make excellent backdrop. I have a whole tray of old-fashioned spoons, ice cream scoopers, little dishes for, you could put little tomatoes in there, you could put the sauce and the dipping, the salt and pepper for accents of all different kinds. I got all these at the charity shop, super, super cheap. Little forks, I mean, you never know what you can find, and they all make great textures and dimensions to your food styling. And like I said, it's all been cheap. You don't have to do it very expensive. So let's start the scene for this one. And this one in particular is a pastry type photo. So right away I think wood, cutting boards, a few little different layers, so maybe a tart down here and a tart up here on the cutting board, and I get that image in my head. Now if you feel like you're not very good at that, or you haven't had a lot of practice with it, go to Google, type in cutting board or food styling or tarts even, and go click images and get inspiration. Look at all the different styles you have and find your style and what works best for you, and try it out a few times and see if you like it. And this is how I've started my food photography. I was absolutely horrible at the beginning. I'm still in the middle working on what I want my style to be and what I want it to be as my brand, and then I'm working forward. So today I've picked this cutting board. It's got half painted white and dark, so it'll give you some light color, the light will bounce off the white, and the tarts will look really nice on the wood, I think. And we'll just move all this out of the way. So I get all my props out and I just start playing around. Now, I chose today a circle placemat, really thick, the rope makes it texture, and a really thin one, but the same shape to make it coordinating. But I'm staying with all the same tones of the wood, and I've got a square placemat. So I'm just gonna play around with those and get a few little heights. So basically, I put this placemat up here because you don't want the black to be in the background of my photography. I work in a little space because I'm just gonna zoom in, and I've got just the circles coming out so you can see a bit of the shape and the colors. And the main focus is gonna be on this cutting board anyway, and I'm gonna really zoom in anyway, like this on my tarts and my food photography, so it won't matter what's around it. Now for me, I like different heights and textures, so you get the texture from the rope here, you get the height from this one because it's thicker, and you get the height from the big cutting board, and then you get this flat background that's quite light here too. And you can use a linen background, which will make it really bright. I could even throw in some tissue paper or like a napkin there, just like that, and I literally just toss it down and I just start adding things around it to finish my look. Now, right then, I imagine maybe a tart here and here, and then one way down here, so it gets the dimensions, and a few tomatoes or broccoli in the recipe, a few key ingredients thrown about here. And it's really about learning how to just throw it down, move it around, find the different heights, different textures, and keeping that nice backdrop. I make sure everything is off my counter, so there's nothing in the background that I'd have to edit out because I've forgotten. And now that my basic setting the scene is ready, I start throwing ingredients on it to make sure I have a few extra before I start cooking, because the worst thing you can do is do your whole recipe and then realize you've not left out any for the styling, any for the photography, which I've done a million times. And so this is my new routine so that I never forget. So let's add some of those ingredients down, see what our styling can look like, and then we'll start getting baking. Okay, so now you can see that I got my basics set in the scene. I've put some layers and textures down. We've got the texture of the rope, like I said, and the cutting board, the different heights and thickness. We've got the flat placemats. We've got the linens thrown down so that you can just cover up that side, just in case you get any of the counter in the background. I work with a tight space. I like zoomed in food styles. And I started putting the ingredients in. So we've got some garlic, some feta cheese, and some of the key ingredients, balsamics, some of the key ingredients that are going to be in my recipe, laid out. And I might not even use this whole bowl of tomatoes in the picture. I just set it down so that when my tarts come out, or my galettes as I want to call them, I set them here and here and start playing around, and I have some of the key ingredients already set out for me so I don't use them all and don't have anything left. I've added salt and pepper shakers, my little hedgehogs, but I might move those out. I just literally have a basic concept of what I want the picture to look like and envision my recipe already finished, and I start working that way. And now I will go make my recipe and have this all ready for me to start food styling. So let's get baking. As you can see, I am almost done and about to put my recipe in the oven. Basically, I like to take before, after, during, and the final shot. So the sun's shining right into my window at the moment where I was making it, and I think it makes the color really pop. So I took a few photos before I throw it in the oven, and you can see the broccoli and red onion and the nice colors against the white with the sun pouring in. The sunshine can be really hard to take photos, so I don't always use them, but sometimes the light hitting the food just right makes it look really nice. So I'm about to fold these up and baste them with a little egg on the edge so they don't burn, and toss them in the oven, and we'll see what we come up with in the end. Now my galettes are about to come out of the oven, and I just wanted to give you a few tips. If you are working with ice cream, you have the scene set, and you have a few of your extra ingredients on the side to accent your photo and really make good on your food styling. But ice cream melts fast, and even though it's not a hot country, it still melts fast and it's hard to take photos, and it's nice to have those drippy melting photos as well, but you want to capture that nice crisp as you know, rounded ice cream, the textures and layers on it before it melts. So my little tip is to crumple white paper, put it exactly where you're going to put your scoops of ice cream, whether it's in a dish, a cone, on a platter, whatever you're going to do with it. Use the paper, take a few photos, get the lighting right, get the angle right, and then add that scoop of ice cream at the last minute and take those photos so you don't melt, you catch that nice texture of it frozen, and then you can take those melty pictures. As well with soup crustifies on the side of the bowl and it gets like filmy on top, so put your bowl down, crumple up a piece of paper, like yellow or green or whatever color soup you have, really get that color and angle before you pour your soup into your bowl or cup and put it into your scene. Those two tips really have helped me working with that kind of food. Today I'm using pastry, so it doesn't matter if it gets cool. I do like to take those hot steam with the steam going up, so as soon as I take it out of the oven, I have my camera ready. I have the lighting and angles that I think are the best to get those first few shots, and then I work with it. So those are just a few tips right before you put your food out and start snapping. Now I will take my galettes out of the oven and we will get food styling. As you can see, my galettes have come out of the oven. I have placed them in our setting that we set up earlier with a few ingredients that we set up before it came out of the oven. The funny thing about doing food photography is you gotta go with the light, and as you can see, I've set everything up and the sun has moved. I just have to wait a few minutes so the sun can get off this side. You can see how it's really blowing it out on this side. And I have my handy dandy stool and camera all set up, and we will start snapping. I like to snap from above a few captures, and then I'll start snapping at different angles. The 45 angle is my favorite on top of the above, but I just want to give you a look. You can see you can start snapping here or here where the light isn't so bad. You can angle it on the side, and you can really play with your scenes, play with your ingredients, and that's how food styling comes about and is so fun. And I hope you've enjoyed all my tips and start to finish of my food styling, and you can check out the end product on my blog. I'll leave the link below, and I'll just give you a few angles to show you where I'll be looking for that nice capture for the recipe. Nice lengths and heights. And that's my food styling. And for every food stylist, I'm sure you can tell that I'm on my counter at my ceiling. And this is pretty much where I do a lot of my food styling, standing on my counters and looking over. I'm pretty sure my family thinks I'm crazy. The neighbors can see through the window. They think I'm crazy, but it gets really nice angle to stand on your camera and look down, straight down at your food, to the side. 45-degree angle is my favorite. And this is how I do my food styling, and have found my food style in what I've been doing and how I've come along from the beginning to the finish. I hope you've really enjoyed my food styling tips for beginners, and I hope to get better and share more tips with you soon. So I'll say bye for now.